Alright, time to remake it. um, because of how the vote did, like 1% voted if you can make that trash, good, and the other said yes, so I guess a lot of you want to see me remake this game. Remaking the biggest failure in Marvel Games history, Marvel's Avengers. I'm just gonna flat out say it. I originally thought the game would have been very good. I thought it had amazing promise, but then by the time it released, I dropped off the game very early. Like, after I completed the main story, I was just done. There was nothing for me to really be happy about. I really didn't like it. I didn't like the Destiny formula, and I just didn't like the game. So when I aimed to remake the game, I wanted to take the fundamentals of what made the game good, and also taking the live service element, because yes, I am going to be keeping that. Before I get the screams of "No!" let me explain. Don't have a problem with the game being live service. I had the problem with the execution and also the gameplay and just a lot of the story elements, which I aim to fix in this video and in a 3-part series, where this video talks about what my changes and the gameplay and each of the characters and the online portion. The next video will focus on villains and the story, and the third will be talking about what I would have done for the aftermath, so the additional characters and all that stuff. So my biggest takeaways when I was playing this game was the same ones everybody else had. The game's characters felt a bit samey. The online missions were just the same crap every time. There was nothing new. Some of the story stuff could have been good, but it just was a bit let down, and just there was a lot of problems that I had with the game, and I overall thought it could have been done so much better and could have lived up to what they originally planned for it to be, the biggest Marvel game ever. Because the Avengers is a franchise that really could shine, especially if it was an online game that you can play with your friends, and also, like, be heroes, take down villains, have boss fights, save the day every day. That's kind of what I thought of. Now, I don't think the live service element could continue. I think, like, basically, it wouldn't be as cosmetic stuff or any of that. When I mean live service, I mean, like, how do I say this? Basically, take occasionally we'll get a brand new update with, like, more stuff for the online portion, and also some new characters you can mess around with, and some new missions, but also this game would, in my version, would have been delayed indefinitely to, like, the PS5 came out, and I'll explain why later in the video. Because I think, personally, there would be a lot of potential on the online front to be heroes and have fun. That's where I think this game shined when it originally came out. It's just playing with your friends and stuff like that. That's where most online stuff shines. The problem was the Destiny and basically not the games as a service, the looter shooter elements and the gear and all that crap. We're kind of gonna ditch that. We'll take some things, but I'll explain later. Obviously, with each Avengers character, they have to play differently, and I took some gameplay influence from a lot of different games, the solo games mainly, but also some other online games. Basically, games like there's a few that I took influence from, but I wanted the online portion to feel different for each character you play as. And I'm fundamentally ditching the fact that you can switch and play as the same character in one group. We're kind of ditching that, and I'll explain why. Also, you will have mini bases like the helicarrier and like the anthill, those will be explorable, and they will be in the game as well. But your main hub area will be San Francisco, because I want there to be an open world aspect, and I also want there to be semi-open world aspects as well for online missions and different areas that are fully explorable and basically bigger in size than anything that we got. So basically, on the online front, something that I thought would be cool is taking a little bit of a cue from Gotham Knights. Now, before anybody objects, I did like the drop-in co-op aspect for dual play, and I also liked that, something that would be cool is like have world sizes similar to the Gotham Knights map for like online missions and different characters and side quests or stuff like that. So what I thought of for the online portion of the game, so you can access this stuff through 3 different key areas in the in different areas in the game. You have the anthill, the helicarrier, and the Avengers mansion in San Francisco, which you can walk around and explore and find Easter eggs and stuff like that. And also talk to interact with some of the other characters and everything of that sort. Because I thought it would make sense, and I think it partially would be cool. Where this game will be different is the only characters that'll be not playable in the main open world hub is Hulk, and that's really about it, because I tried to work around every conceivable character that you can play in the open world, and Hulk was the one that kept feeling like it just didn't work, because yes, he could jump large gaps, but he could cause massive destruction. So I don't know, this is a in-between bit, so editor me here. I'm kind of debating on that. So bear with me there. So I don't know. So online portion. So what I thought of is keeping the live service element, but changing it up and taking out the looter shooter elements and the gear elements and all that stuff, and mostly focusing on something similar to like Ghost of Tsushima or Watch Dogs, kind of, or GTA in a way, where basically the online portion is you get brand new areas that you can fully explore, side quests, and basically going with the PS5 load times, and basically you get these mini maps, like some of them are bigger and some of them are smaller, and you also have missions and stuff that you have to take care of and play, and you can do all this other stuff. So each area is completely different, each area is unique, so we're kind of like did anyone play Lego Marvel Superheroes 2? Not Lego Marvel Superheroes 2. Lego Marvel's Avengers. Basically, kind of like how that game had the main open world and then some semi-open world stuff, like in different areas, where you can go back and play those little areas, like go to Asgard and some other stuff. I think, like, it's been so long, but it's kind of like that, where you can basically have these mini maps. Some of them are bigger, like Wakanda, or all these other areas. And I think it would be pretty cool to see. Like, you can have missions, battle character, and stuff like that. You have the training room, and also versus mode, where you can fight your other Avengers, like your friends can play, and you can fight each other. Kind of like in Harry Potter, I believe, the Half-Blood Prince, there was like dueling mode, and also it's kind of in Hogwarts Legacy, but it's more of a side quest thing. But you can basically, battle Avenger versus Avenger, kind of like X-Men Origins Wolverine versus Wolverine mode, or whatever it's called. It's kind of like that. You'll basically have we're still keeping the online aspect, but it's going to be fundamentally different. Where it's basically you get each Avenger gets a side quest, or you get a team side quest, where basically you have these missions that's like a big overarching side quest mission. Like how in like the single player games, like Marvel Spider-Man, for instance, you had the Hammerhead, not Hammerhead, the Tombstone mission, where it's like it started from the main game, from the MJ thing, and then like you basically have this element that then it goes into another side quest that leads him to the final boss battle. It's kind of like that, but a little bit bigger. And the enemy variety will be fundamentally changed, which you guys are gonna love this. So, but I think some other elements of that I will probably get into are some of the more basic enemies will be the same. Some of the larger mech enemies and some of the stuff, we're keeping some things, but a lot of things are going to be different. But that all starts with the characters and all that. So let's get into that. And I'm going to do this one at a time so it makes things easier. The one element that Marvel's Avengers did well was Iron Man's flying, but a lot of things they didn't do as well. So we're going to start off with Iron Man, because he's one of my favorite characters, and as you saw in the community post with my teases for my custom-made UI, I probably should do some explaining. So with Iron Man's gameplay, I thought it would be more of a strategist in management. A little bit different compared to what we got. First and obvious, as you'll be seeing, he has a lot of things at his disposal, and you can basically customize your layout when you are in the Avengers Mansion. You can basically customize your armor. Now, it's a lot different than getting gear or doing that stuff. I mean, like, the more points you earn and upgrades and stuff, basically you can spend them for upgrades, or you can spend them for your different things for character layouts. So, but only certain characters have these certain layouts. So for Iron Man, you can customize, and make weapons for your armor. So similar to how like with Arkham Knight, over through the story you unlock these little upgrades for the Batmobile. It's kind of like that. So you can swap, similar to like DMC3 with like swapping between two sets of weapons. You basically can swap certain weapons, and you don't have access to everything all at once, because I thought it doesn't completely make sense and you would be overpowered. So basically, you have two sets of tokens. So you can upgrade your hero, and you can upgrade your abilities, and then you have your basically another set where you can upgrade your heroes like armors or different things. So it's kind of like gear, but not completely. So for Iron Man, you can unlock different armors or armor sets with different abilities, or you can unlock his different weapons. But with the armors, you can have a bit of a strategy where each armor not only feels different, but it has a different set of control and management. So, like, if you unlock his stealth-based armor, you can basically be more sneaky and have more ways to, take out enemies stealthily. So it's kind of like how Miles Morales can go invisible, but once you're invisible, you can only be invisible for a certain amount of time, and once you have to take out enemies a certain way. It's kind of like that, but basically the downside with the strategy of that armor is it's not as good in like brawls or attacks. It's more based around stealth. So
each armor has like a certain amount of stuff. So you have his complete armory. And once you have like all these armor sets, like you can strategize and for certain missions and what you can bring to the table. Or you can upgrade his weapons diagnostics or weapon systems. So you can upgrade his missiles or get completely new weapons, like certain types of missiles that can be more long range or more close range, or different types of weapons in general. So it gives you more strategy, and you can equip those into the armor, and there'd be like a cool little system thing. And you can have different stuff at your disposal when you go on a mission and you have your certain weapons equipped. And you can always like take those out and get new ones, like your old ones back or stuff like that. But you have to do that in like the helicarrier or Avengers Mansion or stuff like that. So it gives Iron Man some strategy. If you notice, you have 3 bars near your health bar. The first is your laser, which you can basically access anytime, and it builds up over attacks. So similar to like the Arkham games with like the combat meter, or Devil May Cry with the which I took a little bit of inspiration from, where basically you can, the more attacks you do, it fills up your devil trigger, but basically you can consume devil trigger to go to your sin devil trigger for a more powerful attack. It's kind of like that, but a little different. Also, you have 3 different bars that you have to keep track of, which I'll be explaining right now. The blue bar is basically your arc reactor bar. Basically, it's your power bar. It depletes the more you get hit, and basically the more damage you do, which you can upgrade this bar. The red bar is your weapon systems. So basically it's connected to your weapons on the corner. So basically it charges along with your combos. So like the more gooder attacks you do and stuff, that starts to go up, and you can basically, similar to like the Batmobile in Arkham Knight, it's kind of like that. While your yellow bar is basically your shields. So you have to manage all 3. And the bottom bar is your flight or hovering capabilities, which basically can slowly deplete along with your arc reactor bar, like basically if you're getting hit in the air or stuff like that, or just overusing it. So it's kind of like about management and attacks and all that stuff. Combat-wise, some of the systems will be similar to what we got in Avengers, but a little bit different, where Iron Man will have a similar gameplay that he had, but a lot different, where it's more about strategy, management, and stuff. And I took a lot of inspiration from Marvel's Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes for how I approached this game for each character. And yes, the armor is going to be completely different, because yes, one of the main complaints is it felt too much like they're just ripping off the MCU, which I kind of agreed with. And also, yes, there'll be a semi map where it highlights enemies and stuff like that, and gives you more of a strategy to figure out certain stuff. So yeah, with Iron Man, some of the combat will feel the same, but not completely. Now moving on to Captain America, his gameplay will be similar to, I think, only one thing I didn't think about UI-wise, which is kind of different, might change that, where basically his gameplay will be similar to what we got, but a lot different, and taking more cues from the Arkham games and Spider-Man, where his gameplay will be a mix bag, where I feel like they kind of nailed down some aspects of his gameplay and some were a little bit rough. It will take cues from Batman, Spider-Man, and his OG tie-in game. So, yeah. Yes, you have his health bar, his stamina bar, his weapons, which, yes, he can use some other weapons if you would like to equip stuff. So, like, just mainly certain types of handguns or stuff like that, and his combo bar, and also you have his regular attacks or like special attacks, which would be probably a bar that's in the lower half of the corner, which I'm debating to move that up to where his main bar, his his other thing is, but yeah, rough idea wise, his gameplay will be kind of the same as what we got in Avengers, but a little bit. You can have it's mixed between Arkham Knight and Spider-Man, where it can be about counters, but also about dodging certain attacks. So it's like basically more about like his gameplay is more about mix of range and hand to hand compared to where the other Avengers have like powers. Captain America is more of a soldier. So it takes cues from Infamous, and basically his traversal is more a mix of parkour or riding on a bike or stuff like that. So climbing up posts, swinging off of things, all that jazz. So it kind of takes those types of cues. It's kind of like it's kind of what we got, but a little bit different, and like it's a mixture between two different gameplay styles where it's like dodging and or countering. So it's like finding that balance and like taking out enemies swiftly and knocking out enemies, strategizing. Because he is a soldier, so it's like it has that soldier feel, I would think, and I want it to have like that mix of free flow, but also like that kind of like feel that even Infamous 1, so it's like it has like you can take cover, or if you're taking too much damage, and like even though you're using your shield, like they're coming at you from different sides, you have that like it has more of that strategy base compared to what we got. And I think that's where I think Captain America's gameplay should shine, is it's like basically more of like that familiar Arkham Spider-Man mixed with Infamous, where it's like free flow and more fist based, and yeah, you can be long range with like a gun or something or your shield, but it's like kind of mix of defense and more offense gameplay, and it's simple. It's more simple compared to the other Avengers, and it should be, and I think that's where it should shine, and also that's where it needs to be. And of course, Captain America will have a different design, same for all the Avengers. But yeah, and I think that's where it can be. I don't know about the special abilities bar in the lower half. I might change that and make it more simple. But yeah, stamina bar will probably be like more based around kind of like you can upgrade it a little. But yeah, moving on to the Hulk. His gameplay is going to be taking a lot of cues from Hulk Ultimate Destruction and from the comics and a lot of things. So he's a lot more thicker, and yes, he has a health bar, but it depletes a lot slower, and it's more based around like how much damage you're getting. It doesn't really like, yeah, he can die, but he can't really die. Like you get what I mean. He's more of a brute, he's more thicker, so it's like you can't really kill him as fast. Like he's like the tank. And that is what his gameplay is designed to be, more about destruction, crowd control, complete annihilation, rage, all that shit. Like, like basically that's what his gameplay is designed to be, and I kind of wanted to keep that and do what Marvel's Avengers couldn't. So basically, he has a lot smaller of a health bar, but it's a thicker health bar. So basically, when enemies are shooting at him, they really don't do a lot of damage. It takes a lot more heavy attacks from bigger enemies or like beams or stuff like that to slow him down, or certain things or certain types of attacks. So, below his health bar is a gamma bar. So that is basically how much energy you're producing. So it's kind of like a juggernaut style bar where the more like gamma you're producing, it irradiates, and you can basically produce heavier attacks. So like your Hulk clap, or your you can choose in your bottom corner, which is that small wheel there, your like your abilities, like a certain type of move, I kind of wanted it to be a combo thing, but I didn't want to take away from Cap's gameplay. So like when you do, you can equip like have certain signature abilities, and when you produce enough gamma, you can push a certain button. So similar to like a combo, like pushing Y B or Y circle on PlayStation, you can produce the clap or a different ability depending on what you do. So in the other corner is your rage bar. So and that is basically you'll upgrade that to produce 3 different bars, and basically the more you fill that up, you can do like more destruction attacks, like doing like you can basically be a one-man wrecking crew. The thing is with the Hulk is I wanted him to feel like the way he is in the comics or the way he is in other games. I wanted his gameplay to be more brute based, more destruction based, and he can't really get killed as easy, but he can get weared down. And I think that is the strategy of you have to control and have a management of your rage or gamma for more crowd control, destruction based attacks, and basically managing yourself very well. And I think that's where his gameplay would shine, is being the heavier of the Avengers, and he can't be taken down as easy. No, there is no gear for him or none of that shit. We're getting rid of that. But you can upgrade his his outfits, or basically you can get that type of upgrades. But the points for him or Cap. Now, here's the thing with Cap and him. I forgot to mention this in Cap's part. So, you can upgrade those. For Cap, you can upgrade his shield or his body armor. So there is a little bit of a gear element, but not completely. So it's more upgrading, kind of like with Spider-Man, his health stuff. It's kind of like a mixture of that, where it's the armor is connected with your health. So you can upgrade that, and it's more structured, and you get what I mean. But for Hulk, it's you can upgrade your gamma bar, rage, or maybe make your health bar a little bit more bigger. So there's kind of that element. For Hulk, his gameplay is more crowd control based, like I said, more destruction based. So you can easily destroy enemies. You're practically going to kill them, so it doesn't matter. But you have that element of destruction, free to do whatever you want. So it takes cues from some Hulk stuff from the comics, and completely, he's better used as a last resort. So you can send him out, if you're doing this as a team, you send him for the more heavier stuff. So the brutes or the mini enemies, that's stuff that Hulk really does need to take care of. So the mechs or the tanks or some other enemies, which I'll get into later in the video, are easier. So, and there's not many things that can wear down the Hulk besides a few other things, which we'll get into those enemy types later. But yeah, it's more suited for his gameplay. He's more of the brute, the strongest one there is. So his gameplay will reflect that. And we're taking out the looter shooter elements, where his gameplay will feel, each Avenger's gameplay will feel like a single player Avenger. But when they're a team, it actually works better. So I'll explain that later. Moving on to Thor, I wanted his gameplay to feel similar to what we got, and also a lot different. So it takes a lot of cues from Infamous, and also his tie-in game, and all that. So there's an electricity bar that, as you can see, is a reference to Infamous, but also basically takes some cues from the base game, where you basically, the more damage or combos you do, it fills that bar up, and you can basically do certain attacks. The secondary bar is your Bifrost bar, where basically there would be another bar where I thought of like the Norse enchantment bar, but I thought that was kind of which was taking some influence from God of War. I was planning to do a rage or basically like his battle rage bar, but I thought it would be going too God of War esque, so I kind of like ditched it. But his Bifrost bar is a bar that is only for Thor, not Jane Foster Thor. That you do get to play as her, but I'll get into her in a different video maybe later down the line if you guys want to see that. But Thor's gameplay is more crowd control, more ranged based. Yes, he can go in for close range, but he works better as a long range character. And also just because he's more a mix of death from above and death from afar. So where his combat shines is like his lightning, his destruction. So it's taking cues from like Earth's Mightiest Heroes and the comics, so like the Mighty Thor and some other things, where you do have some signature attacks, but it's it's all in the range and it's all in the lightning. And I think that's where I think Thor's gameplay should shine. And also, there is some elements from the combat of Thor from the original game, the Avengers game, that I'll take and I'll keep because I did like some things. But I also thought, abilities wise, he'll be a powerhouse for sure. I think having him be the more magical of the group of the Avengers. He basically has like a different set of like abilities, and like he takes a lot of cues from God of War, the 2018 version. I mean, a little bit from the original. I don't know. But basically, his gameplay takes a lot of influence from like the mystic side of things. So I wanted him to feel that way. And yes, similar to Thor, or not similar, similar to Hulk, I should say. Sorry. His health bar doesn't deplete as fast when basically when enemies blast him or attack him. It's kind of like Hulk's, where like, and also his upgrade points are basically more based around like with God of War. Yes, there are some looter shooter elements, like, but they're very lightly with his armor. It's more based around like enchantments and strengthening his health bar, similar to Hulk, or his lightning. So it's kind of like takes some influence from God of War, but very slightly, very less. Because I don't like the whole looter shooter element. I thought it was dumb, but it's like more takes on some Spider-Man elements with like ability tokens and all that stuff. So it's kind of more like that. And you could like strengthen like your abilities through like doing certain stuff and all that stuff. So it's kind of like that. Being able to do like make storm clouds and do all this stuff. It's like it takes a lot of influence from the tie-in game. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I was rewatching some of the gameplay and looking at some stuff, and I tried to make the gameplay work. So picture it in your head that basically his gameplay is kind of like what we got in Avengers, but a lot more different. So it takes more cues from Infamous a little bit. So, it kind of has that electric feel to it. So it's kind of like that, but on steroids and with a giant hammer. So it's like a mixture between Infamous and God of War 2018. So yeah. Moving on to Kamala, because yes, she is still in the game. I don't care what anybody says. I thought she was a lot better than a lot of people gave her credit for. Her gameplay will be kind of what we got in the base game, but made more smooth and made more a little bit different. So she has her base health bar, then she has her growth bar, which you can basically grow, like upgrade and stuff like that. So it's basically for like her attacks and her, it's kind of like, it's a mix between her combo bar and, stuff like that. But you can basically slide, like push a little button and it equips like a different thing. So for her attacks switch up. So like if you have her hands, she has like does more hand-based attacks. You have her foot and hand. She does like a combo between both. So it's kind of like a mixture between, it's like Prototype 2's gameplay. It's kind of like that. And then the final one is her bigger form, where it's like all of them at once. And then the other bar, there's 2 other bars. The bottom bar is more like for her shield or damage, and also a mixer between that and when she sprints, like she does jumper attacks, it closes up and then goes bigger. And then the other bar beside that is like kind of like a rage bar, but kind of, I don't know. So yeah, that's kind of like the basics. Her gameplay is kind of what we got. I didn't have a problem with her gameplay because it kind of fit, and it worked for me at least. I thought it worked. So it's gonna stay kind of the same. I don't have any problems with it. So it just needs some smooth lighting, a little bit different stuff, changing some things. But yeah, the last one for this video, I'll talk about some of the other members because there is a massive change to the core Avengers roster, but because Hawkeye and a few others will be included for this game. But Black Widow, her gameplay is, it takes some cues from basically what we got in Tomb Raider. So it's kind of like a mixture between that and not 007, but Hitman and a few others. So her base health bar, her Widow stings, and yes, I'm keeping a feature that was actually pretty cool, and I don't know why they got rid of it, with her ammo being tied into the aiming thing, so you can see it go up and down. And also she has a similar but smaller bar for her electricity, for her Widow stings, and it's right below it, so it ties in. So basically, the more damage she does, those fill up. So if she does do her Widow stings, there's more electricity and stuff like that. And yes, she does have the ability to swap weapons, which I thought worked. And also her batons and what's it called will be tied. So it's kind of like it's kind of like the it's kind of like the King Cerberus weapon in Devil May Cry 5. So yeah, her gameplay will kind of be like a mix between Catwoman, Batgirl, and Arkham Knight, and a few other things. So her gameplay is more spy-based, more like it's not as long-ranged as Thor's gameplay, but it's more like it's more about like it's kind of has like that Black Widow flair, if you know what I mean. It's kind of like that. So, and because of the space problems, I'll get into boss fights and mission structures in the next video. So stay tuned to that, or stay tuned for that in another video, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. Sorry for the long video, and yeah.